Welcome to r/Tales from Your Server. It's the place where waiters share awesome stories about their guests. And today's first story is, Karen, are you open on New Year's Eve? So Thanksgiving was a fun show yesterday, filled with back-breaking work. But luckily, I made it out alive, thanks to the amazing team I work with. I look forward to the holiday season all year because I don't have to worry about bills. I work in fine dining. Anyways, my most memorable table from last night, a duo of Karens. Only one Karen talks during any exchange at this table, with Karen 2 only interjecting oohs and ahs while cupping her wine glass like a mug of hot tea. Karen 2 isn't really a Karen actually, more of a Susan, Karen's friend, and she isn't really a part of this story and shall henceforth be known as Chardonnay. We did close to 600 covers yesterday, I being gifted 80 of them, and we're open from 11 to 8. But with me as an opener, because my face just screams flexible compliance, I had already been in the restaurant for 8 hours, busting my A by the time they sat down at their little two-top at 4 o'clock. Opener. These ladies were nice and charming, and everything seemed to be going well. Went over our prefix holiday menu with them, took their drink order, started out with a couple Crown highballs, weird but okay, nothing too crazy, and went along with my shift. About 5 minutes later, I approached the table and asked if they have any questions, need any help with the menu, etc. Pretty basic stuff. Karen says, "Oh no, we're just enjoying ourselves. We don't want to order until we have finished our drinks." Okay, that's cool. I'm in no way trying to rush anyone, even though we're slammed. I like people to do things at their own pace. I'd rather be in control of their timing, but every once in a while I don't mind people being super casual if it makes them happy. Plus, they aren't taking up any big real estate being at a two-top. I continue with my other tables and periodically check over just my looking. 15 minutes go by, drinks are 75% done. I go over and ask if they'd like to switch to wine, solid read, and they say yes. Chardonnay orders her first Chardonnay, but our lovely lady orders a glass of Rufino. Our Rufino BTG is a Moscato. I also convince them to go ahead and order their meals. They go with the prefix. I go put their orders in, check on the other tables, swing back and collect their glasses from the bar and drop them off. Karen, excuse me, sir, I didn't order this. Me, that's the Rufino Moscato d'Asti. Did you want a different wine by the glass? Karen, I ordered a red wine, the Rufino. This isn't a red wine. Me, oh, I do apologize. Perhaps there was a misunderstanding. Allow me to fetch a wine list for you to get this resolved. I find that instead of arguing with a guest, even when they are blatantly wrong, it's easier to just find a source material or manager to make things go smoothly. I retrieve a wine list from the hostess stand. Me, here we are, miss. This is the only Rufino ordered by the glass. Karen, no? See? Look, Rufino. It says it's a Chianti, and I know that's a red wine. I'm taken aback. Perhaps I am wrong. Oops. No, she's pointing to the only other Rufino we have, a $90 bottle of Chianti. Me, oh, I'm sorry, miss. We only offer that wine by the bottle. If you'd like a red wine, I can recommend some of my favorites depending on your palate. Karen, no, it's the 9-ounce pour. See? It says right here, 9 ounces. Me, I do see the 9, miss, but that's the price of the bottle, $90, not the amount we pour into a glass. Karen realized her mistake after I explained it a few more times and hears the words $90 finally, quickly backtracks. Karen, well, I definitely don't want a $90 wine, I just want red. Me, of course, I have the perfect glass for you. Our cheapest red wine at $9 a glass. Karen, it's not a crazy expensive wine like $17 or something, right? I don't want any of that. Me, having now upgraded her from miss. No ma'am, it's a steal at only $9 a glass. A lovely Cabernet. Karen, okay, thank you. I take the Moscato back to the bar and wax poetic about why I need a comp. Gracious manager just deletes it instead of counting it as a comp. Yay, thanks. I know this post is long, but this table was as well, and you're already reading, and there's more to tell. So, here goes. Their first course comes out and they demolish it. Yay, starting to truck along. She loves her cab. Chardonnay is all smiles. Love her. They get cleared and crumbed. I bring over a touch more bread and butter at their request. Entrees are served. 2-bite check, everything's fabulous. Great. 30 minutes go by. I ask if they're still enjoying their barely eaten entrees. Karen says yes, they are just enjoying their time but still eating. Coolio, all good. Another 20 minutes goes by, same thing. Me, just checking to make sure you're not waiting on me. That's my job. Dies inside. I would like to point out they have been at their table approximately 2+ hours now and are only about 10% into their entrees and still have their original glasses of wine. 30 minutes later, Chardonnay wants another glass of wine and Karen would like their food to be boxed. Me, Of course. Would we like to enjoy coffee service with our desserts this evening? Karen, oh, we are definitely not ready for dessert. I'd like another glass of wine as well. Her glass was half full. It's been well over an hour. And when we finish those glasses, then we might be ready for dessert. Me, the light inside of me is fading. I am exhausted. My other tables are almost done, and I want to be free. Oh, of course. Let me get that glass of wine for you. I'm so glad you liked my recommendation. 1.5 hours later, no lie, they finally finished their glasses of wine. It's almost 8 o'clock, closing time. I come over to see if they would like dessert now. I'm down to my last 5 top that came in when I cleared their entrees, who are currently eating dessert. When I approach them, I do not ask if they are ready for dessert. Instead, I push ahead with, me. So ladies, would we like to enjoy a cappuccino or coffee with our desserts this evening? Karen, I'll take a decaf coffee. Me jumping for joy that the end of my night is just ahead of me. Wonderful, I'll bring that right out. As I turn to run back to the kitchen and make her a beautiful coffee, she stops me and has a few questions. Karen, so are you always open on holidays? Me, yes, the only day we are closed is Christmas Day. We're open every other day every year. Karen, so you're open on New Year's Eve? Me, yes, and New Year's Day as well. Karen, does it get busy on New Year's Eve like it was today? I just realized she 100% knew how busy we were, and that didn't affect her meal timing at all. Empathy level 0, which is why I dubbed her Karen. Me, yes, incredibly busy. We are open only during dinner service until midnight. Lots of people want to eat a nice dinner before heading out and ringing in the new year, or before they have to start their New Year diets. Karen, when does it get super busy? Me, usually around 7 to 9 p.m. Karen, so we would be able to make a reservation no problem around when you open then, right? Me, oh, of course, it's usually a little slower earlier in the evening. You shouldn't have a problem. I can even make a reservation for you right now if you'd like. Karen, oh no, we can do it another time closer to then. You said you were open until midnight, so I could come in at 5 and then wait until midnight to have a glass of champagne? Me, seeing where this is going and realizing my fate. I guess in theory you could totally do that. Karen, splendid. I can't wait to come in on New Year's Eve then. Will you be working? Me, sheepishly. Yes, everyone is required to work all holidays. Karen, perfect. We will make sure to request you, jaded foe. Me, lying through my teeth and wanting to literally die and beg for my future self's forgiveness. Oh, yay, that's so exciting. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you both. Let me get your desserts and coffee started. They finally ended up leaving at 9:15, being the longest two-top I've ever had at this restaurant. They tipped adequately, but not more than 18%, even though they split their tab with cards that could cut a tree in half. They weren't rude or anything out front, just so slow. I will never understand people who go to a restaurant for 5 hours and barely eat anything at all when it's insanely busy and just camp forever. I feel like I shot myself in the foot by making them regulars, but I can't help it. The second story is a regular that made me feel like I was doing more than just slinging pancakes. I worked at a popular breakfast restaurant for about a year and then decided to jump ship and work for a competing breakfast restaurant in the same town. While I was working at the first place, a middle-aged woman and her elderly mother would come in 1 or 2 times a week on days that I happened to be working. I usually ended up having them as a table, and we gradually began to talk more and more each time I saw them. A few months passed, and they became my official regulars and would only come in when I was working and wouldn't sit in any other service section. I genuinely enjoyed seeing them and talking to them, and I eventually found out that the elderly woman was diagnosed with a terminal illness that was progressing, and it was getting harder and harder for her to go out and do things. Her daughter often told me that some weeks, going out to eat and see me at the restaurant were the only thing that she actually wanted to do outside of her house. Things with management at the first restaurant were always questionable at best, but it got worse and worse, and I decided that it was time to move on and get a job across town at another restaurant. I broke the news to the 2 ladies, and the elderly woman was visibly upset when I told her. Her daughter informed me that they lived right around the corner, and she wasn't sure if they would be able to make it across town to the other restaurant. I told them when I would be starting at my new job, and I told them to come visit me anytime if they were able. She again told me that it probably wasn't going to happen, and we said our goodbyes. Fast forward to my second week at my new job. On a slow night, I didn't have any tables, and one of my coworkers said that I got sat with a table that requested me. I went to greet them, and I was overjoyed to see my regulars from my other job. The daughter told me that her mom insisted they find a way to make it to my new job to see me. The smile on the elderly woman's face when I walked over to their table was so full of life and joy, it completely filled my heart with warmth. Throughout the dinner, they told me that things weren't going well, and that this would probably be the last time I see them. It was somber news, but I understood, and made sure I made that dining experience the best that it could be. Dinner ended, and the ladies left. Even though they were complete strangers to me not that long ago, I was upset and couldn't stop thinking about the elderly woman's decline in health and hoping the best for her daughter. A few more weeks go by, and I accepted the fact that the elderly woman had probably passed, and I would never see her daughter again. During the middle of a rush one night, my manager told me that someone wanted to speak with me up front. I went up to see who it was and saw the daughter standing by the hostess stand. I was surprised and confused and happy all at the same time. She told me that her mother had passed, but before she did, she made me the tiniest little teddy bear and put it in a nice little box for her daughter to bring me. I opened the box and held the bear and started to cry a little bit. I was incredibly moved by that gesture, and it made me feel like in that timeline of events, I was more than just a server to these two ladies. Not particularly sure if this kind of post belongs here, but I've been holding on to this story for a while and figured I would share it with a sub that is usually filled with the SH nonsense that servers usually have to put up with. The last story is, they like me? I have several years of experience in all levels of service in the States. I've been a dishwasher, busser, runner, barback, expo, server, and even a shift here or there as a bartender. I've worked in a small-town Mexican restaurant, a burger joint, and an upscale steakhouse. I'm trying to say I have experience with a wide variety of service and the types of customers you see working in restaurants in America. A few years ago, I moved overseas. I've been doing a lot of different work lately, but just recently I got back into restaurant work to support myself while I study over here. Obviously, I'm sure you're all aware that service style in most countries is pretty different than in America. The way it works at my restaurant is that our pay is 100% tip-based, but it's communal along all servers, based on the amount of hours you work through the day. Along similar lines, no one has their own personal tables. Instead, we rotate through different sections of the restaurant throughout the shift. This means that any one table could get seated by one server, get their order taken by another, get served their food by another, and pay through someone else. All this leads to a pretty casual service style. Instead of visiting tables regularly, we really only come when called. Most servers are friendly with their favorite regulars and pretty aloof with everybody else. I'm getting used to working in this style, but I have too much experience with American-style service, and old habits die hard. I'm still engaging with tables more than everyone else. If it's slow, I'll make rounds and check in on tables without being called. I've been trying to learn the names of some of the regulars. It's just the same kind of SH I used to do without thinking about it back in the States. Well, apparently my customers have noticed. Last week I was on a date in a bar, and one of my regulars walked by and noticed me. He stopped, thanked me for being a good server, and then proceeded to talk me up to my date. He told her I was the best server they had, and dropped a small bill on the table and told me to buy her a drink on him. Recently, while on shift, customers have been coming up to me and asking me for help more often than other servers, especially if it's a special request. I noticed a daily regular completely ignore the server in his section and flag me down as I walked around bussing tables. It's really incredible, the preference I've been receiving just for providing what I honestly consider to be a reduced level of service. Yesterday in particular, I served a table with one regular and a woman he was on a date with. He ordered some drinks while waiting and we got to chatting. When his date arrived, he introduced me as his favorite ever server and told her they were in good hands, as long as I was in their section. I was absolutely blown away that so many people had taken notice of the little extra work that I put in. All this is not to brag about what an amazing server I am. Back in the USA, I was usually an average or above average server, but nothing special. I never had personal regulars. People didn't request me. But here, I see people's faces light up when they see that I'm going to serve them. It's made me enjoy service again. If you feel underappreciated, don't think it's because you're doing a bad job. It might just be that your customers are so used to excellent service, they don't know how good they have it, and come to take it for granted. Please share your opinion if you like this subreddit. Thank you for watching.